Okay, let's begin. I'm going to call this public session in order. To order, welcome everyone to this public meeting of the Peel District School Board. Item 1 on the agenda, or not item 1, but before we get to item 1, is approval of the agenda. First, I'd like to identify that Trustee Lawton has sent her regrets for this meeting. Item 4.1 is an addition to the retirement list, 4.1A, I'm sorry. Item 6.1 is a notice of rescission. So this is just so everyone can stay with us, especially on the phones. It's a notice of rescission of Part 2 of Resolution number 19-22. Excuse me, I think this is our second student. Hello?
Hello.
Preet?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, thank you. We're starting. We've just started.
Okay.
And could you also hit your mute button on your phone, please?
Okay. Yes, I can press it.
Excellent. Thank you. So item 6.1 is a notice of rescission. The rescission of Part 2 of Resolution number 19-22 regarding vocational and autism spectrum disorder programs at Glen Forest South Secondary School. Before we approve the agenda, administration has asked if we would waive the notice period so we can deal with the updated recommendation tonight. This is a time-sensitive item, and that fact allows us to waive the notice. If we approve the waiving of the notice, then when we get to item 6.1 on the agenda, we will be dealing with the actual rescission recommendation. On that item alone, are there any questions or comments from trustees? Okay. Hearing none, seeing none. Again, prior to approval of the agenda, item 6.2 is an addition to our agenda. It is the update regarding vocational and autism spectrum disorder programs at Glen Forest Secondary School with new recommendations. Trustee DeCroup, will you move the agenda as amended? We have 11.
Yeah.
I'll proceed and hope that David is reconnecting. If somebody could text him or email him just to say, try again, please. We're going to continue on. So where we were at, everybody, was an additional items to the agenda. Item 6.2 is an addition to the agenda. It's the update regarding vocational and autism spectrum disorder programs at Glen Forest Secondary School with new recommendations. I had asked, before we got disconnected, Trustee DeCroup, would you move the agenda as amended?
Sure.
Thank you. And seconded by Trustee Crocker.
Sure.
Thank you. For all trustees, we need a 2/3 vote in order for this to be carried. So if you say yay to when I call the vote, we'll only hear that, and then I'll ask for those who are voting against it. So all those in favor of moving the agenda as amended?
Yay.
Yeah.
Yay.
All opposed? That carries. Thank you, everyone. Declaration of conflict of interest. Anyone to declare? None? Seeing none. Are there any written questions, notices of motion, or petitions from trustees? Seeing none, hearing none. 4.1, moving to item 4, but 4.1 is the retirement list. We also have the addition of 4.1A. We can take these together. Trustee Green, will you move this? Trustee Kay McDonald, will you move this, please?
I will.
Thank you. And Trustee Marchant, will you second it? Thank you. Are there any questions or comments about 4.1? So I will just add our farewell to Superintendent Jeff DeFreitas, who has been with the board since July 2008, came to us as a principal. He's been a superintendent of education since August 2008. Hello, David.
Yes, John.
Hi, thanks for calling back. We're proceeding along. We're at item 4 now, 4.1, with talking about Superintendent DeFreitas' retirement. And so Superintendent DeFreitas has had a number of superintendencies including schools like David Suzuki and Brampton Centennial Families of Schools, and Roy McMurtry School, and Superintendent of Education for Early Years, Curriculum and Instruction Support Services, Coordinating Superintendent, Brampton Centennial again, and David Suzuki Families of Schools, and Heart Lake Families of Schools. So he's well-traveled, well-experienced, and I know I speak for all the trustees, and when we say best wishes to Superintendent DeFreitas as he moves on to his next challenge. This has been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you. Moving to item 6, which is new business. 6.1 is the actual rescission of Part 2 of Resolution number 19-22 regarding vocational and autism spectrum disorder programs at Glen Forest South Secondary School. So, trustees, prior to approving tonight's agenda, we voted to waive the notice through the approval of the agenda, so we can now deal with the rescission. We are now looking at the recommendation to rescind Part 2 of Resolution number 19-22, which reads, all current students in the VOC and ASD programs attending Glen Forest Secondary School be given the option to remain as Glen Forest Secondary School students currently accommodated at the Glen Forest South location or attend West Credit Secondary School. So that's the rescission. Trustee Crocker, will you put the rescission on the floor?
Okay.
Seconded by Trustee Benjamin.
Yes.
Thank you. Controller Wright, would you like to speak to this rescission, sir?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. And just to repeat a great deal of what you've already mentioned, all incoming grade 9 VOC and ASD students residing in the Glen Forest boundary were redirected as a consequence of the regular meeting of the board approval January 8th, 2019. Tonight the rescission pertains to the second part of the decision, which had all current VOC and ASD students being given the option to remain at Glen Forest or attend West Credit Secondary School. With respect to Part 2 of the recommendation, current Glen Forest VOC and ASD students have since been requested to indicate whether they would wish to remain at Glen Forest or attend West Credit Secondary School. As noted in the rescission report tonight, an insufficient number of families have decided to remain at Glen Forest Secondary School, and as such, Part 2 of Resolution number 19-22 is being recommended, as you have noted, for rescission. Mr. Chair, a 2/3 majority vote is required on this particular recommendation and rescission.
Thank you, Controller Wright. Are there any questions or comments from trustees? We need this resolution would need 2/3 majority, so I'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed? Carried. Thank you, everyone. Item 6.2 is the update regarding the vocational and autism spectrum disorder programs at Glen Forest. This is here for our approval. Trustee B. McDonald, will you put this on the floor?
Love to.
Thank you. Trustee Benjamin, will you second this? Sorry, Controller Wright, are you speaking to this for us, sir?
Yes, very briefly, Mr. Chair. Staff are now recommending that all VOC and ASD students currently attending Glen Forest be redirected to West Credit Secondary School. Sufficient classroom space is available, and VOC and ASD programs are offered at West Credit Secondary School. If this report's recommendation tonight is approved, parents and students will be contacted before the end of February to review each student's options for the school year 2019-20. Bus transportation will be provided in accordance with Board Policy number 39. Thank you.
Thank you, Controller Wright. Are there any questions or concerns from trustees? Seeing none, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, that carries. And item 8 is with respect to any comments or questions from board members. I'll start with our student trustees. I'm not sure if Trustee Chongkrian, are you there? I'm sorry, I did ask her to call back in 7 or 8 minutes and may have lost her in her attempt to try to call while we were losing people. Trustee Oris Naden Nova, any questions?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Crocker?
No, thanks.
Trustee Benjamin? Trustee K. McDonald?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Andrews?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Davies?
No, thank you.
Trustee DeCrube?
No, thank you.
Trustee Marchant? Trustee B. McDonald?
No, thank you.
Trustee Sohi?
No, thank you.
Trustee Green?
No, thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Item 9 is a public question period. Are there any questions from the public? Thank you. Seeing none. Item 10 is the adoption of the in-committee reports. Trustee Sohi, will you put them on the floor, please?
Yes, I will.
Thank you. Seconded by Trustee Davies.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. That's carried. And thank you. And just before we get to adjournment, I'd just like to say thank you to everyone. This evening is caused by obviously some inclement weather that changed everything. And we asked you to call in, and that's not easy to do because you have busy lives as well, and you're trying to get things done in your day. And thank you to all the trustees and the staff who were able to come here and stay here today. This has been very helpful for us to move the items forward that need action from this moment on. So item 11 is adjournment. Trustee K. McDonald, will you move adjournment for us, please?
I will.
Thank you. Trustee Andrews, will you second it?
Yes, I will.
All in favor?
Aye.
That is carried. Thank you, everyone. Stay safe tonight.